Hello! So it's been about 3 years since I put out a video of me reacting to a recording of me coming out to my parents. It was the night before I flew back home to where I am now. And it was like literally 6 months after I had moved out. That's when I visited. It went as you would expect. I come from a Vietnamese Catholic family and the video was like 30 minutes long. So I'll give you a quick summary. It was pretty bad. They're homophobic. So they were like saying like, oh, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Marriage is between man and woman. How are you gonna have kids? You get the gist. The only unique thing that stood out from what my mum said was when she was like, she brought up about how she found condoms in my pockets when she did my laundry the year before. And she's like, oh, I was so certain that you were with girls. And I'm like, no. I was confused at first and I realised where she was coming from, and I had to explain to her, like, Mum, you still need to use condoms even with same sex, so you don't catch the illness. This is all in Viet, and I was referring to STIs. I don't know the proper translation or the word for it, and her response was, that's good that you're using condoms so you're protecting yourself from being gay. Because yes, Mum, using condoms is like the new no homo. Don't be silly, it's no homo if you wrap that willy. Anyways, this video is just basically like a follow-up for what's happened since 4 years after I've come out to my parents, and so basically where we're at right now. So after that, when I came back, I chose not to talk to them as much. I didn't reach out to them. I did return calls and texts. I just wasn't initiating or actively talking to them. And every time we talked during that first year, my parents would always bring up about or try to convince me or persuade me to fix me to being straight. And really frustrating. And yeah, they did come around to visit at the end of the year, so that was like 6 months after that. And I didn't want to see them at all. My siblings actually pressured me to go see them, even though I explained to them that I don't want to, purely because they're homophobic. My siblings didn't understood. They're supportive of me being gay, but they didn't understand that, you know, it still takes a bit of time for parents to come around. They generally thought my parents had to come around, and I had to explain to them that no, they're still homophobic, especially with a phone call that I just had with Mum a week before. Yeah, that was not pretty. 2019, didn't really visit, didn't keep in contact because I didn't want any association. It was very scarce. 2020, I went back during Lunar New Year, so at the start of the year, and that went smoothly. At the end of 2020, for Christmas, that was the first time I went back home to celebrate Christmas with my family. But that was also having to navigate being openly gay with the family, like extended family. My cousins already knew prior, but the adults didn't. And I was just seeing how it went. The trip itself went very bad. It was not smooth at all. It's because my mum and I had a fight. And it was actually because about me being gay. It was more so because of underlying views. And because of that, when I went back home, I chose to like go radio silent, and that was okay for a while. But then at the end of 2021, I was graduating from uni, and I thought to myself, like, let's try again. Let's reconnect. At least I can tell myself that I'd at least tried. And also, this is a little gift for my mum, because she did, at the end of the day, like, she did raise me and stuff. Not to say that, like, you know, we owe, or us kids should owe our parents anything, but essentially I wanted to give her this moment. So then whatever happens after this, at least I tried, and I don't have anything on my hand. So I explained to my mum that, like, you know, I am letting her to come, I'm inviting her, I'm putting aside my principles. My principle is that if, regardless of whether family or friends, if I don't want to associate with people who are homophobic. Simple as that. That's just basic of it. But I'm putting that aside just to let her to come be with me for my graduation. And it went smoothly. She was not saying anything out of line, she wasn't being offensive, just being a mum. And that was cool. We reconnected even after that. She was telling me recipes when I asked her about certain food, and it was nice. We were reconnecting, getting along, and then because this year I started like working full time, technically part time. I now have the funds and means to like go travel. And when I told my mum about me traveling to Sydney, she was lecturing me as any parent would, like, oh, why are you going traveling? You should be saving up your money to to buy a house. And I'm like, it's a very long time. And I was like, oh, when do I travel? I was like, oh, when you buy a house. When I buy a house, I'm gonna have a mortgage to pay. But anyways, that's besides the point. Fast forward to me going to Sydney. My mom sent me a video, and I sussed out the video. It was a video of a trans woman talking about her achievements. Well, it talked about how she grew up. She came from a family that wasn't supportive of her, was very abusive, and then when she left and when she transitioned at a young age, she went on to go win a lot of beauty pageants and become an activist, which is really nice. This is very hopeful. Good sign. I skipped a bit because it's cut to a part where she was now standing on stage on a podium presenting as male, wearing a suit, short haircut, and this is all in Viet, by the way. The video was in Viet, and I was trying to understand what was going on. I was just listening very carefully, and I was scanning the sign that was on the back wall. Also in Viet, I can't read. But I see a sign, like a cross. I was like, oh, I do not like this. So I told my mum, and I texted her, can you explain to me what the video was? She calls me, and she tells me that it's a video of him losing his ways and then finding Jesus again and then repenting his lifestyle. Live it at this point. Mind you, for this past 4 years, whenever we have a conversation or any phone calls, I always told my mum that I don't want to talk about anything religious or anything about Catholicism, purely because that's out of respect for her. Because every time we did have a conversation and she brought it up, she always gets upset because I'm agnostic. I don't believe in that. That's just a fair call. And here she is, sending me this video, explaining to me this mess. And so then I responded to her, what was the point? What was the purpose of this video? Are you hoping, praying that I date a girl? Mum, in her best fashion, as typical fashion. No, I'm not. I'm hoping and praying, because you've lost your ways, I'm hoping and praying that you find Jesus again and then you become an old boy. It was already bad enough that she sent me that video. Her talking about religion was really bad, and then now her disrespecting me to say for me to become a normal boy again, that was that was the line. I was livid. I basically went off at her. I was actually cussing at her. I told her that's it. I don't care whether we're family or not, friends or family. I do not tolerate people who are that disrespectful to me or is offensive. And I reminded her, yes, blood is thicker than water, but the blood that runs from the covenant is thicker than the water from the womb. And I explained to her what that meant. It's a family that you choose. The family that you choose will always be more important than the family that you are born in. The family that you're born in, though, can be the family that you choose. That quote just basically validates different family types. And I found my own family here. I found friends who are supportive and accepting and loving of who I am, no questions asked. And it's very disappointing to see my parents are like this. I do understand that they still love me, they don't disown me, and it's a common trend that I've seen with a lot of gay Asians nowadays, is that parents do still love and support them, they don't disown them, which is a good thing, but it's mostly swept under the rug. But for me, I can't live with that idea, especially, I thought I could go with it, but because my mum is actively trying to fix me, I don't want that. So I told her that I'm cutting ties, don't text me, don't call me, I don't want to respond, I don't want to have any association with either of them. Yeah. And I told my sister about this straight away when it occurred. And she's been very supportive throughout this whole mess. She kept me up to date. The week after was Mother's Day, and my parents were visiting Melbourne, which is where I live. And basically, my mum reached out to me. She texted me, left voice messages. I ignored all of them. Some of them went along like that. Oh, are you busy with working? I'm here. Come visit us. Come meet up with us. Oh, are you ignoring me? Is it because of what I said? Yes, Mum. It is exactly because of what you said. She even called up my sister and said, do you know why your brother is ignoring me? Have you been talking to him? I don't understand why he's ignoring me. Thankfully, my sister played up. Bless her soul, love her to bits. And then my cousin calls me at night, and she's like, oh, do you want to grab a drink? And I'm like, well, where? Did my mum put you up for this? She's like, nah. Why do you think that? I'm like, oh, why do you think? Did you talk to her? It's like, and my cousin basically explained that, like, nah, I just asked her if she reached out to you, but you ignoring her. Why was that? And my mum said she didn't know. So that's where we're at. I definitely didn't. I didn't go in the end. But basically, yeah, that's where we're at. am continuing keeping my ties with my parents cut. Don't want to associate with them because at the end of the day, I chose to move out of home so I don't have that association, to not have to be around it. Because since 2012, so that's about 10 years ago, I learned to not care about what my parents think. I learned not to listen to what my parents say. Purely because back then, when I put my parents on a pedestal, it really affected my mental health and I was in a really bad state. When I stopped and shifted my views, it kind of helped my mental health, but it still wasn't improving as much as I wanted to. Only when I moved out did it help immensely. Even when I go back home, my mental health just drops, especially in 2020, during that Christmas, it was really shattered. And luckily my friends came to actually pick me up. They literally drove the 8 hours to come pick me up and take me home. I was so much better. I was healing, and here we are now. And I've learned that I have friends, I have a community here, and I feel more accepted and more loved here than I did there. And I still keep in contact with my friends there as well, and they are supportive with my decision. And this is basically a hopeful message out there for those who, whether you're closet or out, you know what's best for you and do what's right for you. You don't owe your parents anything, even if they raise you and stuff. That's what they're supposed to do. They're your parents, and just like that, they're supposed to love you for who you are, not what they want you to be. Peace.